design, to me, is the most important. And if you say, well, I like the curved stuff, but I don't know how to do that. If you can design it, you can build it. I guarantee you. So if you don't know how to make bent laminations for those curved legs, call Raleigh or call me or call somebody that knows how. And I think in this group, nobody's selfish and say, no, I'm not going to help you. Woodworkers people are always willing to help, give advice, some good or bad, but they have advice. And then the other thing is when you put a piece in a show, how many have put a piece in the Northern Woods show? Nobody. I've heard so many good things about this group. Yeah. I thought you guys.
Piano there, though.
Well, yeah, some people thought the piano was terrific, and other people thought, they let this guy in the guild? They must feel sorry for him. So, I make these pieces not to show off or anything, because I have to. I like the artistic part of it. I like artistic furniture too. There's no function. Some people think that's a waste. And I say to the woodworkers of the world, it's called the Minnesota Woodworkers Guild. It's not called the Minnesota Furniture Makers Guild. One year, a sailboat won first prize. A lot of guys were pissed off. It's not furniture. They're really mad. Every year, there's always somebody mad about the awards. I got mad one year and I got embarrassed myself. I should have won. I should have won? But it's not worth it. There's no accounting for judging. And just think, if you were a judge one year and they asked you to be the judge, walk through the show with that in your mind and think, I don't get it. It's tough. So there's no accounting for art. You know, the Walker Art Center pays $40,000, $50,000 for painting, and what the hell is that? You know? And the nice guy goes, that is the coolest thing. So in your furniture, in your design, I just keep encouraging, be brave, take chances. This is not your life. You're not going to go hungry, I don't think, unless you're making it for a living. If you're making it for a living, you're probably not here listening to guys like me. So if you make something, I've made a lot of bombs, you know, that only show my closest neighbor before the bonfire. So go for stuff, have a good time doing it. It's a hobby, it's something we love to do. And once in a while, you're going to turn out a jewel. You will. And the braver you are, the more jewel-like it could be. And this is just another example of a bunch of sketches that I did prior to that piece. I was going to have 3 legs and a U-shaped bottom. And then I had 4 legs. Could have had just 1 leg up the center, you know, a post like a table. So this is called divergent thinking in the world of psychology. It's like, I don't know if you remember, think of 1,000 uses for a golf ball. Okay, think of 100 then. I was going to have you do a drill, but I tried this once with a group and everybody moaned. And take a piece of paper and a pencil, and in 1 minute, draw 3 coffee tables, different designs, straight lines. So go home and do that. 3 coffee tables. 1 minute, 3 coffee tables. They don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be measured. 3 different designs. Put that aside. Another piece of paper, pencil. 1 minute, 3 more coffee tables with curves. Not whether you can build them or not, or whether they're practical or not, just to do it. And that's called divergent thinking. You can expand it and say make 10 coffee tables or 20 or whatever. It's good for the brain, good for the creative part of you, to keep expanding your mind, keep expanding your ideas and your vision. And then as you look around, here and elsewhere, magazines, books, friends, trees, city parks, cars. Yeah, who in here is going to build a car cabinet too? You can join Mark and I in the contest. You missed that probably, Raleigh.
Yeah, well, I'm building a car that has a lot of wood in it. Does that qualify?
No, that's well, because you're already told you have to build it the right way to make it a Model A. I'm building a 1934 Chrysler. Mark is building a 35 Cord. They're cabinets on stand. And then we're going to have a contest after I bribe all the guys that are going to vote.
What's the deadline for that?
I don't know. I think one of the things we're going to try to have it in the April Woodworkers Guild show down at Eden Prairie Mall in April.
That's close.
Yeah, I'm for a long in mind, but Mark got sidetracked with the cool one. The Dark Side of the Moon cabinet in Megan, which is way more wild than my little Chrysler Airflow. So, any questions, you guys, about design? I don't know what else. I'm probably forgetting a lot of other stuff to say, but I probably blabbed on enough. Oh, a couple things, yes. Drawing tools. I'm sure you guys have drawing tools. Oh, this was another one. Instead of just a sketch with an idea, I had this tube, and I said, what happened if I cut it at a slant and glue it back together? That's what it is. I don't know what it could be, but that could be pretty cool. And then I tried it with half cylinders, hollowed out or just rounded out. Oh, what could you do? You could do something with that. Maybe, maybe not. So they're sitting around the shop. And this is a planning model for the most difficult piece I've ever made. It's a cantilever coffee table that folds in here, different fold in here, and it comes out to a flat section about this far out, with the bottom about this far out. A real clean, simple design. It's really hard to build. And that came from, I started it out at the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship in Maine. If you get a chance to go there, got some money, go. I've taken 3 two-week courses. 2 of them from my guru, if you will, is Tom Hucker. And Tom Hucker is an amazing, he's an artist who got tired of the effete art world and stuff and moved into furniture building. And his designs are phenomenal to me. By the way, I have an article with Tom Hucker's picture on the front. Whether you like him or not, or his designs or not, you can kind of look him up online. His website is gone. His attitude towards design is terrific. So I suggest reading that article. It's several pages long. And then I suggest keeping those 10 points posted on your wall. And then Mark Lau, thinking he could do Wendell Castle one better, did 12 points. Mark and I go back and forth. We have a lot of fun giving each other a little shtick about stuff. But he says he's going to kick my ass, the little punk. I said, I worked in prisons, I know people. Okay. Yep. So this was a planning. I made one way back, and then years later, I wanted to make another one, and that's probably the last it would be. And I had to redo how I trying to figure out how I made it. So this was a planning model, and I made improvements on this, of course, but you can see how it would look, and these would flow out to a flat surface. These would flow out to a flat surface.
How did you bend them, Roger? Are they bent laminations or?
They were bending ply.
Bending ply.
Yeah. And they're made in 2 halves.
Yeah.
And you make 2 halves, and they have to come together along this seam and along this seam. When I started this project, I was 6'8".
Made me think of the Sydney
Sept, okay, yeah. Yeah, nothing particularly on this one, but I made a couch that I was going to have upholstered. So I made a scale model of the couch with the frame for the upholstery to take it to the upholsterer to say, okay, is this going to work for you to upholster? And he said, well, yeah, I need a little more bracing here, and I need this there, and I need that there. And so if you're going to do an upholstered piece, do make a model and take it to the upholsterer and say, is this going to work? And then I said, I also want it padded on the arms, but I wanted the leg to show. What do I need to do that? And said to route a groove for the nails, etc., etc. So doing a plan like this for someone else is going to help finish it off with upholstery is a good idea. And I really like making models. I've got a nice collection of them. They're kind of fun to see. I remember that. I don't remember much. But drawing tools. Lee Valley has this, it's not very expensive, this set of French curves. If you don't work with curves, well, forget this, but they're really nice. They're useful, they're not expensive, but if you chop them up or ruin them, we'll get another set. They got the small ones, and it's great variety of stuff. I even forgot, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks.
Yeah, surprisingly cheap for how many French curves you need.
They are amazing. And then you guys all have one of these, bevel gauge. Because you're not only doing 90 degrees, are you? Come on. That's why I can't build things at 90 degrees. They come out this way anyway, so you might as well start. I made my own compass. Just a couple pieces of cherry, carved them out, put a wing nut here, drilled a hole for a pencil, and stuck a nail in. You know, for the big things, because there's a little, you know, there's some nice compasses, but you get them out, they're kind of floppy and stuff. So that's really nice to have. Make a pair of paper, whatever. Is that a pear or an instrument? And then Lee Valley also says, if you do curved work, the French curves are nice, and then their bending bow. Okay, and this is for a radius curve, you know, from a circle. And you can just adjust the belt. And this is for a changing curve. Yeah, really nice. Really nice.
Is that Lee Valley, you said?
Lee Valley. And these too aren't horribly expensive. I think they're fiberglass type material, you know, with a little adjusting belt. So if you do curved work and you want to draw, boy, they're just nice. They're like the French curves. But, so you can come up and grab these and play with them too at the end. I said, well, I sort of told somebody up front, I hired a live model for this. Here she is. And that's simple. Just scale it up. You have 1 to 5, okay, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. So, nothing to it. All you need is the idea. Nothing to that either. Let's see, I think.
See if you can get your video up there. Somebody should be able to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a cord. We're missing a
We don't
cord.
have the correct adapter for a Apple.
Yeah, but that's not-
HDMI.
This one don't cast?
No,
No, TV won't.
the TV won't receive a cast.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a
So we also
series of glorious pictures of my glorious work, and none of the dogs.
we tried emailing the pictures, we tried copying drives. Sorry.
Well, not all of you saw this. I don't know if you know about the Japanese tea ceremony. It's very formal and handling, you know, all of it. So the cabinet was made for the purposes. This is a little, I bought this stuff. You put a little candle, alcohol heater under here, put the teapot on the top. And then once you serve, can do with wood.
The piano should have won.
Pardon?
The piano should have won.
I agree.
Yes.
The piece that won that year was made absolutely perfect. It was a Ming Dynasty coffee table.
It was nice.
And the joinery was fabulous. But it was a walk-by piece.
It was. It was 2 against 1, Roger.
Yep. There's no accounting for judging at those shows. So I'll take this to your friends who have a big house or an art gallery and they want to pay about 25 grand. They can have this piano. I'll deliver it. That's a year's worth of work. And some creative juices.
How'd you get started?
With woodworking? Well, you know, I grew up wood carving and whittling as a little kid. So I'm messing with wood, building a clubhouse, you know, like kids do, thousands of nails. And then when my son was born, and he's now 60, he was moving from the crib to a bed, and I had some leftover bread somewhere. I lived in a dirt, or didn't live, lived upstairs, but I had a dirt basement with one bulb, and I made, with a little rackety saw, a bed for the crib mattress. That was the first piece. And then I made more pieces, so that was from age 22, and now I'm 82, so that's 60 years of doing this stuff. So you learn something after you make enough pieces. Probably could have learned more, but I'm not all that bright. So.
Is that what you did in prison then, or?
No, I was in prison education. I started with juvenile delinquent boys at St. Croix Camp out west of Sandstone, trying to get them to learn something, do some education, and they gave a little bit. The Department of Corrections closed that. I went to Shakopee, the women's prison, and I was there 14 years. As you called the education director, I was the only teacher, and worked with the women, and I loved it. Most people in corrections say, I'd never work in the women's prison, that's nuts. But it was terrific. These personalities come through, they've done some horrible things, and most of them had had the crap beat out of them since this big. I wonder why they're in crime. The last year that I was there, I did a Fulbright teacher exchange to England, and I worked in one of their women's prisons, and their education director came out and worked in ours. Then I came back from that, and I went to Central Office of Corrections as the education director for the entire department to help develop education programs that were existing in all of our facilities. Great, it was a totally unexpected career. I was going into special ed in graduate school, and someone said, I want you to come up and work at this camp. You know, people who work in corrections are people who can't get a job. And I discovered it's not so. And it was an absolute blast. The human interaction is intense every day. And my job was to convince these gals in the women's prison to learn. And I used every trick and trade I could do. And then going to the other prisons, it was harder to get the staff to make some changes in their programming. Because we had adult programming, teaching adults to read, and they're using grade school materials. I think, no. Teach these guys some practical skills, how to budget their money. You can cover math, like adding and subtracting and dividing. You can teach them nutrition. What do you buy when you go to the store? Go to the store. And so on. So try and get them to do practical application knowledge for the adults especially, and you incorporate your basic skills in that. I could do a whole nother lecture on that, but you want to go home? So that's where I came from, and this is where I am now. I've moved from furniture. I haven't moved away from furniture to the art pieces, but as long as they keep coming to mind, you know, I used to put them on. I'll do that later. And I thought, wait a minute, you're gonna tip over one of these days and never build it. So get the hell off and go make one. So, don't wait.